And good afternoon, everyone out there. Welcome to Let's Talk Real Talk Show on parental alienation. And today we are going to be talking about Bill C-223 with our special guest from Toronto, Ontario. I'm from Hamilton. We have Gene Colman, family law, back here. This is his third podcast with Let's Talk Real Talk, and we are so grateful to have him and to have a family law lawyer who is there to protect the children and, both parents. So welcome, Mr. Coleman. Thank you for coming on. I'm going to get
Thank you
you.
very much. Thank you very much, Ms. Kovacs, and it's a pleasure to be here for the third time. I'll have to slightly correct your introduction. I was in Hamilton, practicing out of Unified Family Court there from my call to the bar in 1979 until 1988. And then in 89, I guess till 89, we moved to Toronto. And I moved my practice to Toronto, where it's been ever since. And I have a boutique family law firm. And as of the first week in March 2020, everyone remembers that great time, we became virtual. And we're an entirely a virtual firm. And so we do everything on Zoom, pretty much, except have some fun lunches from time to time.
Yeah.
I do want to say at the outset to give a warning to our live listeners, not those necessarily that are going to watch this afterwards. I am in Israel at the moment. Today is March 25th, 2026, and we are in the middle of a war with Iran and Hezbollah from the north in Lebanon. I must emphasize, we're not at war with Lebanon, we're at war with Hezbollah. And neither we are at war with the Iranian people, we're at war with the regime. But in any event, to make a long story short, where I am now, we have been subject to a large number of missile barrages. And my little office here is in what we call the safe room, which is a reinforced room that protects you from certain adverse effects that missiles are known to have. So if an alarm goes off and a siren goes off a few minutes later, normally, usually we get the warning, but my phone here, though it's turned down, is going to make a real racket, and my wife and my daughter and her little doggie, who's going to bark, are going to come in here quite precipitously. So there will be a slight interruption while they get settled, but I've got my little earplugs or earphones in here, and we will continue with this, missiles and all. We're not going to let terrorists stop us from talking about Bill C-223.
Perfect. Thank you. Stay safe. We are praying for everyone out there.
Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll tell you one thing, prayers cannot hurt.
No,
So I
that's so
welcome your
true.
prayers and everyone's prayers that everyone in Lebanon, in Iran, in Israel, and in the Gulf states that are being attacked by Iran quite inexplicably, pray for the safety of everyone.
Yes, absolutely. So now that you've introduced yourself and we are here to talk about Bill C-223 in regards to parental alienation, could you just give a quick rundown for the viewers to explain what parental alienation and then you can get into Bill C-223 on what it's doing.
Well, parental alienation is I would say, a mental health phenomenon whereby a child who formerly had a loving relationship with a parent unreasonably rejects that parent. But in a situation where the other parent, let's say call parent A as the alienator, parent B as the victim. Parent A engages in certain overt and sometimes not so overt actions that cause the child to reject parent B. Because a child rejects a parent and refuses to have contact with a formerly loved parent, that in itself doesn't prove parental alienation is going on. There are various markers to parental alienation. But quite often, parent A is the culprit. Parent A badmouths parent B. Parent A arranges fun activities for the child when it's parent B's time. Oh, look what you're missing by going with dad, or you're going with mom. And basically, through overt and not so overt measures, turns the child against parent B, parent B's extended family, parent B's dog or cat or goldfish, and everything associated with parent B becomes abhorrent to the child. Thankfully, we have measures in the helping professions, social work, psychology, psychiatry, that have devised ways to ameliorate the situation, to educate parent A about the harm they are doing to their child, to help the child put things in proper perspective, and to reestablish and then strengthen the relationship between parent B, hopefully while retaining a loving relationship with parent A. Not all parental alienators are doing it on purpose. Some are, of course, unfortunately, but some are not. So we have what is called reunification therapy, and that comes in various formats, and it really helps get family back together. In other words, it is really helping children's mental health, never mind the parents. Of course, we want the parents, both parents, to be healthy, but it's helping children's mental health. And as we talk about Bill C-223, we will see how it is going to get in the way of the positive things that I've just talked about. The positive things being reunification therapy and other modalities where we help repair the fractured family.
Wonderful. And to repair a family when it goes into their adulthood after 18, do you get can the kids get help after they've discovered they've been alienated in regards to the bill if they were
The bill doesn't speak to that issue. So
no
that is a real side issue where kids are reach the age of 18, and the bill, neither the current Divorce Act nor the proposed amendments in Bill C-223, it's a federal bill to amend the Divorce Act, do not speak to that issue. We could have a whole other program. You've probably had programs on children, on adult children in later years that come to realize it, that what parent A has done, and they're able to put things more in perspective. But let's today we're here to talk about Bill C-223.
Okay. So tell us about Bill 223 and how it originated.
Okay, sure. Bill C-223 is a private member's bill from the Canada House of Commons that seeks to amend the Divorce Act in a number of very significant ways. One way is that it will basically make any evidence of parental alienation inadmissible. And there's one or two exceptions. One exception is if a person who is accused if a person who perceives themselves as the victim of family violence, domestic violence, family violence is the term we use in the Federal Divorce Act. If they perceive themselves a victim, they can give evidence how the parent B did the alienation, even if they themselves are the alienator. And that is parental alienation is evidence admissible. But if you are a victim of parental alienation, you cannot, if it's alleged that you committed family violence, you cannot introduce evidence of parental alienation. You can't do it. Another key provision of C-223, another key provision is that reunification therapy, remember I talked about that a minute or two ago?
Yes.
Reunification therapy and anything similar, call it therapy, call it counseling, any efforts to reunite the child with the rejected parent are outlawed. Now, people listening to this that don't know anything about this must think Colman is just off on one of his other rants. He doesn't know anything because this defies logic. My friends, I couldn't believe it when I read it. So then you may ask, and thank you for asking, Mary.
You're welcome.
How did this come about? Who would put such a crazy bill forward? And now let me explain it to our dear audience. There is a movement, there has been a movement in the last number of years in the United States to implement legislation across the US to say that anyone who is claiming parental alienation, usually they put it any man who is claiming parental alienation, he's really he's using it as a sword to cover up his own family violence. The fact that he's using parental alienation is in itself proof that he is an abuser. Is it possible that a man who claims parental alienation is using it as a sword or even as a sword and a shield to deflect from his own abusive behavior? Yeah, it's possible that could happen. I, for one, have criticized judges throughout my career, more so in my later years. But I do have a basic trust in judges, as do most lawyers. Many of you maybe sign, oh, that's terrible, but I'm sorry, I do. They can see through such subterfuge. Because parental alienation is not just how mom behaves or dad behaves. It's how the kid behaves. It's that total rejection. There are many markers, psychological, physical markers of parental alienation. And just by saying, oh, she's alienated the kids from me, that doesn't make it so. It might be so, but it doesn't make it so. And likewise, it doesn't make it so when when parent B says that he's the victim of parental alienation, that doesn't mean he's an abuser. He might be. We have to be aware that could be possible. But it doesn't itself mean that. He could be a victim of parental alienation. So this movement, it's called, the legislation is called Kayden's Law, Kayden '(s) law, Kayden's Law. And they're putting it in across the states. On my website, I have an article where I cover off some of the legislation in the states. I'll get more to that, but resources on my website on this bill in a bit. But there are a number of states that have these laws. As far as I can tell, now I haven't read every single piece of legislation, though I've read summaries, but they don't go as far as saying evidence of parental alienation is inadmissible. The Canadian bill, C-223, does go that far. It goes further than the Americans, and we know how Americans can be very radical, especially in so-called blue states on issues like this.
Right.
So it's, the remarkable things I told you about reunification therapy and evidence of parental alienation being outlawed sound unbelievable,
Mm-hmm.
but it's true. It's true.
It sure
And
is.
and it's very, very bad. And I am encouraging our viewers to take steps to fight this bill. Okay, I think I've talked enough. Give me another question, if you would, Mary.
I shared your petition yesterday to thousands out there. So let's see if, we get across to them, because there are a lot of alienated parents out there who are great people,
There are,
and they
there
don't
are,
deserve it.
they don't.
So,
There
yeah.
are, what I find particularly interesting, talking about great people, we've been privileged at my firm to represent a number of moms who are victims of parental alienation. My own empirical research that I did years ago, the paper's on my website. My own empirical research that I did discovered that most alienators were moms, but a sizable minority were dads. Around the same time I was doing my research, my friend and colleague, Professor Nick Balla, came out with a similar paper. It turned out I had the idea to do this research to go through the cases, but he had a whole carload of students to help him to go through the cases. This is before AI and all of that. And he did a similar research, similar, not exact same time period, going through the cases. And his results were pretty much consistent with mine. And he published his paper academically. My research is simply on my website. So there are many moms who are victims. Well, since this Cadence law and the Canadian version, Bill C-223, is a radical anti-man feminist, radical feminist project, you would think as radical feminists, they would be very solicitous of women who are victims of parental alienation by unscrupulous dads. But no, they're happy. Apparently happy. I don't know. No one's ever told me they're happy, but they're apparently happy or satisfied or don't care or whatever to throw probably hundreds of thousands of good moms under the bus.
Mm.
And I get really angry about that. I get really upset about that. Is family violence a problem? Of course it is. Are men often the abusers? Yeah. Family violence is a big problem. But to throw women victims under the bus like this is nothing less than reprehensible. It really gets me going.
And is that
Really gets me going. And no one in this country can tell Gene Colman, oh, you're just woman hater or anything. You don't understand family violence. I understand it better than anybody. Let me tell our dear viewers why. In the 90s, I had a wonderful client, a mom of two beautiful, beautiful kids. They were originally from Russia. They went from Russia to Israel, and from Israel, they came to Canada. They were there a number of years. And the case was just getting going. And I really liked this client, and she came in with her mother as well. And unbeknownst to us at the time, he was stalking her. They still lived in the same apartment, but the marriage was over, and they were looking for ways to disengage. And she came back to the apartment. He was following her the whole time. And he had a delusion that she was having an affair with my partner, my young lawyer. He's a first-year lawyer. Like, if you knew this guy, it was impossible. Like, no, of course he wasn't having an affair with her. And he murdered her in front of the children. Oh, that was some funeral. I shudder when I remember it to this day.
Oh,
And no one can tell me about the effects of family violence, and that I'm not sensitive to it. I'm very sensitive to it. Whether a man commits the family violence or the woman commits the family violence. And Caden's law in Canada, Bill C-223, is a reaction to family violence. But you don't throw moms under the bus for this. And you don't come up with some unproven theory. Actually, I would say disproven theory, but unproven theory that all parental alienation is bad, violent dads raising it as a smokescreen. It isn't. It's real. You don't have to believe Gene Colman. There is a ton of literature out there, peer-reviewed literature in the social sciences that documents what it's about. Many eminent Canadian judges and American judges and worldwide, but we're Canada, so let's talk Canada. Many Canadian judges have written about parental alienation, looking at the social science, hearing expert witnesses, have explained in the case law what are the badges of parental alienation. And I trust our judges, I said before, I'll repeat it again, I trust our judges to get this right. Because you can't, parental alienation is not something you can make up. Now, what you do have to be sensitive to is justified resist refuse. If the father truly was violent with the children, then the children may reject the father, but they're not going to reject the father's parents or the aunts and uncles or the dog. They're going to reject the father. They're not going to reject beloved grandparents because of that normally. So, I'm just losing my train of thought a little bit here. You can have justified resist refuse. I prefer to use the term resist refuse than to parental alienation, because a child refusing to see a parent could have many reasons. Mere refusal to see the parent does not equal parental alienation every time. It doesn't. It just there can be all sorts of reasons. And what this Bill C-223 is going to do, it's going to take away the judge's toolbox and the helping professions as well, in all likelihood, because the evidence will be inadmissible in court. So what's the point of looking at it? So the solution proposed by Bill C-223 is cut off the parent that is accused of family violence. Accused. You don't have to prove it. You just have to accuse them. You just have to accuse them. There just has to be a suggestion. And therefore, another provision is that in that sort of situation, mom, if she's fearful and describes herself as a victim of family violence, can move out of the province without a court order. And everyone will say to me, Colman, what are you talking about? That's not what the law is. There's a whole procedure, the Divorce Act in Ontario and the Children's Law Reform Act and other provinces and territories in their provincial legislation. You have to give notice. There's certain notice requirements, formal notice requirements and everything. And in a worst case scenario, you don't want to give notice, you can get a lawyer. If you can't afford it, you get legal aid. You bring an emergency application to the court. You get permission to move away from your abuser if you have the evidence. No, Bill C-223 says if you feel that not quite the words it uses, I am paraphrasing, I'll concede that. If you feel you're a victim of family violence, you can move out of the province. Because the bill says that the fact that someone moves away with the children out of the province allegedly to escape abuse, that shall not be held against them. It doesn't directly give permission to leave, but in effect it does. It says you can't hold that against them. And also it allows people that claim abuse to relocate with impunity. And aside from that, just for good measure, the so-called primary parent can much more easily relocate now. We have in our amended Divorce Act, amended as of a few years ago, they didn't at that time bring in a rebuttable presumption of equal share parenting, as I had advocated for, and many others. But they did bring in some sensible legislation in that last amendment to the Divorce Act a few years ago, that if you want to move away, you've got to follow certain proper procedures. And I supported those measures 100%. But now Bill C-223 is going to change the playing field here. It's going to make it very, very different. It's a very, very bad bill. I've described it in my writings as a very bad piece of social policy. Our legislation in Canada should reflect our common values as Canadians.
Great.
And our common values aren't that one side in a conflict between husband and wife, or between mother and father, the husband and wife, because many people, of course, are not married, between mother and father. We want to hold an even hand between them. We want them all to have their chance to be heard, whether that's in court, whether that's in mediation, whether that's in arbitration, whether that's in counseling. Everyone should be heard. Everyone should have their concerns addressed. And for those that are truly victims of family violence, they need to be protected. And that is the function of the law. And Bill C-223, I guess the best way we could put it, in a good faith attempt, I don't think it is, but let's put it at its highest, in a good faith attempt to prevent victims of family violence, has gone way too far. Right. I don't think it's good faith, but I'm saying, for argument's sake, let's say it's good faith. Let's say it is, for argument's sake. But no, they have this bill that has a very decent chance of passing, by the way, a very decent chance. Even though it's a private member's bill, it has a decent chance of passing. And I'm urging our viewers to take steps to oppose this bill. Should I talk about what we can do to oppose the bill now, Mary?
Yes, would you? I was just going to ask you, can you tell us how? And, it's parents, grandparents, it's anybody, right? All family members?
Parents, especially grandparents. But boy, this is, because if someone gets permission to move away, like this, grandparents are going to get cut off too. This is an anti-man, anti-father, anti-grandparent piece of proposed legislation. And so and anyone who just is thinking for basic fairness, like, Canadians like to be reasonable, like to be fair, right? Fair to both sides, and most of all, fair to the children. Doing a parentectomy, getting rid of a parent, getting rid of formerly beloved grandparents, that's against Canadian values.
That's like being murdered.
It's worse.
Yeah, worse, because you're alive.
Murder has finality.
Yes,
death has
exactly.
finality. Death, you can get a parent, heaven forbid, dies. A grandparent, I am a grandparent. A grandparent dies. I know my grandchildren will be very, very upset.
Great. I've never met my grandchildren.
I'm so sorry. My grandkids will be able to watch me here on YouTube.
Nice.
But they'll get over it, because I know their parents are all very good parents.
Right. And most of them are.
Death you get over. But having a live parent that you're not allowed to speak to, that you are so psychologically conflicted and upset because you don't want you're a 10-year-old child. Do you want to upset parent A, your mommy? Yeah. Oh, I used to love my daddy, but no, not anymore. No, my daddy would. Mommy told me daddy's bad.
Yeah.
So, oh, daddy's parents, Papa, Nana. No, no, no. They never treated me nicely. Yeah, against
Yeah.
all the evidence. It's just terrible. Well, sorry, I ramble.
No, it's okay. No, because people
Let's
need to
let
hear this. I mean, you say it with compassion, with love and respect, and you want to keep the family unit
I
together.
want to keep the family together. I am
Equal share
blessed.
parenting, right?
Right. I don't get me going on that one. We're not here for that one today.
No, 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 but that's what it's all
I
about.
myself, yes, I am blessed to have many, many grandchildren, and my wife and I love to spoil them rotten,
But
and
that's what you're
that's our
for.
and that is our job.
You
And
earned it.
thank you. My heart aches for those grandparents and parents that are cut off. It aches for them, and it also aches for the children themselves
Yes.
who don't get to have the family history passed on, to get the culture and language and everything, the warts and all of of parent B. And I do what I can. I've made the C-223 a project of mine. So let's talk about this project of mine.
Okay.
Underneath my name, you have my URL. I was limited to 50 characters, so I had to put just complex family law. But you put www, you type in complex family law, you'll get there. Now on my webpage, you go scroll down a little bit, and we have. Let me just go on the other screen here, on my side here. We have just slightly down on my screen a new heading. If you've been to my website before, go back, and it says Bill C-223, important information. And then I say Bill C-223 is a danger to children and their parents. Parental alienation evidence will be inadmissible. Reunification therapy will be outlawed. Visit my resource page for more information and sign the online petition that opposes that passage of the bill. And that last sentence is highlighted. So you click on it. I'm clicking on it now on my other screen. You can't see it. Okay, so you come to a page. I have a little blurb about the Keeping the Children Safe Act. That's the name of the bill. It doesn't keep the Children Safe Act. It hurts the children, but that's what they like to call it, keeping children safe. And
Right.
on the left-hand column of the page, there are resources. Okay. Before you get to the resources, in the first, second, third, fourth, fifth paragraph down on this landing page, it's called Bill C-223 Resources. It says, please click here to navigate to the petition and sign it to record your firm opposition to Bill C-223. Now, rest assured, this is the only place on my webpage to access that petition. But please go there to my website, click where it says click here to get, it'll take you to the petition and register your opposition to the bill. Last I checked earlier this morning, there were almost 600 signatures. Not enough. We need tens of thousands of signatures. That's what we need. Tens of thousands. 1,000, 2,000 is just not going to cut it. It won't even make a dent on our members of parliament. So please,
and this
go
is
there.
Just Canadian.
Just Canadian. Share the petition with your friends, your family, your second cousin twice removed. Share it with everybody you can. Get them to sign this petition. On the website, the other stuff you can read there on the petition page about the bill and everything, and I agree with everything there. I didn't put the petition up, somebody else did. But please, you yourself, go there, go to my resource page. The link is there. Electronically sign the petition. Now, on the resource side, you'll see that at the moment there are 5 resources. One's I mentioned Professor Bala earlier. And we have an article that Professor Bala and Professor Birnbaum wrote about bill about this bill, and
Mm-hmm.
so it's written for lawyers. But hey, if you're not a lawyer, you can still go read it. It's okay. It's a good article. From a more academic bent. It's for a lawyer's newspaper, but I posted it up there. Please read it. Have American jurisdictions passed legislation similar to Canada's Bill C-223, and I've got an article there, footnoted and whatnot, or annotated. Um, I've got an article. What does the Divorce Act have to say about family violence?
Mm-hmm.
And maybe if we have time, we'll get. Probably not. It's quarter to the hour already. But in any event, please have a look at that. So you'll see that in our Divorce Act, family violence has very robust provisions, and I support them. I support those provisions in there, and it's not up yet, but it's going to be up shortly. When people are looking at it, I have an annotated, footnoted version of this article that's going to go up hopefully within the next few hours. I haven't checked my email since we started this, and I just was corresponding with my web people. They're working on that, but I have ample legal authority for every implication. I have implications of the sections of the bill, and
Wonderful.
you'll see that. Um, Now, and then we have Bill C, Keeping Children Safe Act in Plain English. Just going to click on that. I think that has what I'm looking for, what I want to say. Oh, it's not here. I know where it is. Okay, well, I'll get to what I wanted to talk about in a little bit. It's not on the website. I'll come back to that. Make sure I come back to it, Mary. My bill in plain English, Bill C-223, Keeping Children Safe Act in Plain English, the basics. There, I take you through the main factors, some of which I've spoken about here today about the bill. And yes, I'm a lawyer, but I tried not to write like a lawyer. I tried to write it so that even members of parliament who are not lawyers will understand it, and to make it quite clear just what this bill really does. I prepared a side-by-side comparison, which is the other item on my page that you can get. Where on the left-hand column I put the provisions of the current Divorce Act. On the right-hand column I put the provisions of the bill, and to show what is going to be changed. And I did that particularly for members of parliament, and I hope they will, one way or the other, get to my website to for themselves see it. Frankly, when I read the bill, I couldn't quite make heads or tails of it. I had to slug through each section and get up the actual Divorce Act when it exists. Think, okay, what does that mean? Oh, this section of the bill amends it. What does that mean? And that helped me put together this article that I'm referring to now. But it's good to have them side by side. Now, for the
Yes.
layperson looking at it side by side, you don't have to break your teeth on that. But
Right.
get that get that page to your member of parliament, because they have to see in black and white what the bill really does.
Right.
Okay, so yes, now I remember where it is. I have a newsletter going out today or tomorrow. And in that newsletter, I have an extensive, it's a special edition newsletter on Bill C-223 and on another matter, which I'm not going to talk about now. But under Bill, I'm as you can all see, I'm passionate in my opposition to this bill. And so I spent a fair amount of time putting this newsletter together. I have over 1,000 people on my newsletter list. If you want to receive my newsletter, before it goes out,
I signed up.
if you thank you, Mary. If you want to get it before I send the newsletter out, you can sign up automatically. Go to my website and you click. Where do you click? You click at the top, news, and then you click newsletter. And that'll take you to a page where you can sign up to my newsletter. You can sign up to also my Equal Share Parenting Thought of the Day. Don't worry, I don't send it out every day, far from it, just periodically. You can click the 2 boxes on there, then click submit or subscribe, whatever it is, and you're automatically subscribed. If you're watching a recording of this after March 25th and you want to get my my newsletter that's going out later today or tomorrow at the latest, then just send me an email and say, hey, Colman, send me your newsletter, and I'll get you added to the list. I'll add you to my newsletter list, and I'll send you specially the newsletter that's going out. In that newsletter, and long preamble to what I'm trying to say, in that newsletter, I have a suggested email that you can send to your member of parliament. I have a link to find your member of parliament and his or her email address, and then you can fill in your member of parliament's name, fill in the email address, and you have wording. And I say in my newsletter, here's the suggested wording. Use it, don't use it, whatever you like, but do contact your member of parliament and let him or her know about your opposition. And also pass my newsletter around so people can have the wording. Maybe I should really put it up on my website. Good idea. Thank you, Mary.
Yeah, I actually shared your newsletter link to alienated parents in Ontario, Canada.
Not what I sent you this morning, I hope.
No, this is the one that I
the previous one.
Yeah.
The previous one? Okay, that's fine. Because the one I sent you this morning was just a draft.
Yeah, no, this is from previous.
Okay, fine. Yeah. Well, thank you, Mary. I appreciate that very much.
You're welcome.
Mary, you're on my list, but you signed up, but I think you were already on my list, by the way. But in any event, the newsletter is going to go out. Again, if you're watching a recording of this, you want to get that newsletter, but just by signing up automatically, you won't get it now, because the Constant Contact sends out according to the list that's on file when the newsletter goes out. Send me an email. My email is Gene, Gene, my name's on the screen, and there you have it on the screen, complexfamilylaw.com, and I'll be happy to send that along to you. And of course you can add yourself to the list, or just tell me and I will add you. So there is what we can do. I have a sample email that you can send to your MP, adapt however you want it. Let your voice be heard, and please let others know about this, and please sign the petition and get everyone else to sign the petition. And I'm sounding like a broken record. I apologize. Mary.
Yes, that's okay. We need to keep repeating ourselves because people just don't want to listen. Well,
I don't know. No, Mary, let's give anyone who's tuning in to this program, to your Child and Family Advocate Canada program, is listening.
Yes.
We don't have to worry about those men and women.
That's right. You're right.
We don't have to worry about them.
My apologies. Yes.
If you ask the majority of Canadians, would you like that the starting point would be that the parents, if they're decent parents, have the children equal time? Most people are going to say, oh yeah, of course. Isn't that what the law is now? Because we're very Canadian, we're very fair. But of course that isn't, which was my other issue that I struggled with, that other bill, what was it, C-78 in the previous parliament. So it's just people don't know. So when you have a cadre, C-A-D-R-E, there's my word for the day. If you have a cadre of radical feminist professional advocates that are pressing for this Cadence law, and they can point to a dozen or more jurisdictions in the States that have some form of Cadence law already, and you're going to say Canada has to keep up. If you're a member of parliament and you don't hear from your constituents about this in a big way, you're going to listen to the feminists.
Yes.
They seem like reasonable people. Many are academics with university appointments, college, community colleges, and people that have devoted their life to helping abused women. And and I respect that, by the way. I respect those that work in women's shelters, and that's something we need. And I also respect Justin Trottier and Men and Families, because we have a shelter for men and families as well. I respect that
Right.
equally, if not
Equally.
more. Okay, equally. um, so, but if you're an MP and you're getting that input, and that's what you're getting, and one of your liberal colleagues is putting this private member's bill forward, presumably in good faith. I don't know that MP. I'll presume that it's good faith. It's going to pass. The
I know
liberals,
this.
the liberals now have an almost majority. It's not a government bill.
No.
The government bill for sure would pass. It's a private member's bill, so it doesn't necessarily have to. But it's a liberal member putting the bill forward. The NDP, with a few seats, are certainly going to support it. The Bloc Québécois, I don't know. They have a few seats, but you see, it doesn't take much to get the bill passed.
Right.
It's only if Canadians let their members of parliament know that this is a bad piece of legislation that's going to hurt women, it's going to hurt children, and by the way, it's going to do some harm to fathers and grandparents. But I think you got to focus on the women victims of parental alienation, who, as I've said earlier, that, oh boy, I'll tell you, women may be, according to my empirical research and that of Professor Bala, they may be in the, and others, by the way, since, they may be in the majority of the alienators, but when a father is an alienator, they are ruthless.
Huh.
Ruthless.
21 years.
Much worse
Mm-hmm.
than many of the moms that I've seen.
Vindictive.
And the supporters of this bill, do they realize they're throwing these women under the bus?
No.
They're just writing them off as if they don't matter.
Exactly.
Look, this bill C-223 is bad legislation. It's bad social policy. We have to get rid of it.
Yes, we do.
Do your part. Ladies and gentlemen, defeat Bill C-223, please.
Yes, exactly. Wow, that was intense. Will a good parenting plan help in regards to each? No. So what would help if Bill C-223 wasn't there? How would we?
Oh, well, if C-223 gets defeated,
right,
then we have to return to the campaign to bring back a rebuttable presumption of equal shared parenting.
Okay.
Well, I would like, I'm arguing against my economic interest here. I absolutely am. And because we have a number of cases in our office now, which is, of course, the focus of our practice is achieving equal shared parenting. And if it's not equal shared parenting, simply preserving the father's relationship with the children, and some mothers as well. And frankly, I make money off of this. I make a good living. But why should I, and any lawyer in my position, have to cause our clients to spend so much money just to have a relationship with their children? Like, is it rocket science that all things being equal, it depends where the parents live, where the schools are located, is the parent an adequate parent? I shouldn't have to prove that parent B is the super dad or super mom. I shouldn't have to prove that. These are the good parents, 50-50. Again, it doesn't work in every situation. That's what we call for rebuttable presumption, because they have factors to rebut the presumption. Right now, what's your starting point? Every second weekend, maybe once during the week. Not enough time, not enough quality time in most cases. So that will be returning. We've had that battle. Bill C-78 a number of years ago. I went and spoke via Zoom as well at that time to the Justice Committee. Many people that you know and our viewers know, Brian Ludmer spoke, and many spoke about a rebuttable presumption equal share parent, even though Bill C-78 did not have anything approaching that area. Bill C-70 had a lot of great provisions in it that people in the family rights movement, like myself, have been advocating for years. But that is the best protection. But right now, our plate is full with opposing Bill C-223. If it gets passed, I feel like saying I quit. I'm not going to quit. I'm passionate about what I do, but I feel in frustration saying, oh my goodness.
Yeah, family law must be really hard on your heart.
Yeah. Well, I have to professionally separate myself. Yes, I bring my personal experience and the importance of family in my life to the profession, yes. But do I personalize every case? No. But do I have empathy and compassion for my clients? Of course I do. Of course I do. I feel very, very strongly about this. I'm not. Do I make a living? Yes, I do. Am I doing it for the money, just for the money? No. I'm doing it because I love it. And here I am, almost 76 years of age, believe it or not, and I'm still working full time. Whereas 7-8 years ago, I said I was going to be retired by now. But I realized I love doing what I do, and I'm now in this battle about Bill C-223. And I'm inviting you, Mary. I know you're already part of this struggle, but inviting our viewers to at least register your opposition and minimum send an email to your MP. Phone your MPs off. You won't get through to your MP in all likelihood, but some of you might. Call them, let them know, register it. Just think, if an MP gets 20 phone calls in a day about people opposing Bill C-223, his or her executive assistant is going to tell him, "We've got 20 calls today against this bill." It's going to have an effect. And if we have thousands of signatures on that petition, it's going to have an effect.
Yeah, we'll get them all out there. I mean, this needs to stop before it gets any further, because like you said, we're screwed after, right? It can't be taken away if it's proven that it's been an effective
Bill
it's harming children.
C-223 will not be effective. It won't be proven anything. It will simply mess up a lot of families. It will mess up a lot of children, and it will make the family law system even more unfair than it is now.
That's right. That's right. So, let's see, what else can we talk about? So the myths and stereotypes that we deal with on parental alienation is part of Bill C-223. I see that all the myths, they're trying to say that it's not a myth, that it's real.
Right. So the supporters of Bill C-223 say that there are myths and stereotypes about victims of family violence. And they want, and I think it's in the preamble of the bill even, as well as in section 16, amendments to 16 sub 5 of the current act, I believe. But there are I will agree that there are certain myths and stereotypes when it comes to family violence. One such myth and stereotype is, well, did you ever go to the police? You never went to the police, so it must not have been violent. Some women are psychologically, and men, most actually men especially, men more than women, psychologically incapable of going. And those that are really oppressed within the house by the other spouse, they're afraid to go. They're
Hmm.
afraid to go. Yes, there are legal remedies that you can get a protection order even without notice, but how many people know that? Um, and you've got to get a lawyer, and it's so yeah. So the fact that there's no criminal law complaint doesn't mean you weren't a victim of family violence. So they're right about some of the myths and stereotypes, but because there are myths and stereotypes that can prejudice particularly women, but it also works against men. I've seen many male victims of family violence as well. Yeah,
Right.
and and uh, and I think the studies that I've looked at, the stats are very close in terms of victimhood, both males and females. So and coercive control is recognized now as an element of family violence.
Hmm.
I've seen many men that were victims of coercive control, and I've seen many men and heard of many men that have gone to the police with a complaint, and they get laughed out of the police station.
Right.
Come on, guy, grow a pair. What's the matter with you? Because he got myths and stereotypes about family violence that further victimize people that are already victims. But the answer is not Bill C-223. That's not the answer. Um, it's past conduct of family violence. What they say is always relevant.
Hmm.
Um, One of the implications of the amendments report. Yes, past conduct is relevant, but to what extent? So if mom it, keep it on the gender the way they intended. If dad hit mom 10 years ago, do we agree that he should have done that? Of course not. We everyone across the board condemns that. But they split 10 years later. Should she be able to go and raise that now? And therefore, because he hit her 10 years ago, he shouldn't have. I'm not justifying it. But he hit her 10 years ago, so he shouldn't have contact with his kids now. That's what the bill says, because it says we've applied stereotypes that past violence isn't relevant. Yes, past violence is relevant, but you have to look at the degree, the severity. Um, Another implication here, I'm just looking at my article. Yeah. So here's what I wrote looking at the act. Mary, are you still there? I don't know if we're still on. Mary, are we on? Well, I see that it's still the clock in the left is still going, so I will
My
continue.
apologies. Someone was at my
Okay,
door.
okay, fine. When the court I'm reading from my article here at the website. When the court considers the impact of family violence on the ability of a family violence perpetrator to care for and meet the child's needs, any interpretation of past events that could conceivably cast doubt on the fact that the violence occurred shall be deemed to be inadmissible. That's what the act says. Now, not some allegations of family violence are quite accurate. And especially if the family violence was recent, especially there, but any family violence has to be considered. And our existing Divorce Act, that's my other article, does provide for very robust family violence protections. But what this act does is if you cast doubt on the fact of violence in the past, that evidence is not admissible. So the implication here is any allegation of family violence that you want that the other parent wants to contest, well, it didn't happen that way, or it didn't happen at all, inadmissible. Because one of the myths and stereotypes that the radical feminists complain about is that women are not believed about their allegations of family violence. And indeed, some women that should be believed are not believed. And we have to address that question for sure.
Right.
But to say that the person who's accused is not allowed to lead evidence, is not even allowed to speak up in his defense. That's very un-Canadian.
That is, and that's what happened to me. It got taken right out of
Well,
the transcript.
that's even before you had C-223.
That's before, yeah, yeah.
Well,
But
anyways,
now it's going to get worse.
it's going to get a lot worse.
Yeah, so we got to stop it.
We've been at this for a while now, and so I don't want to bore people, because I know when I look at a podcast, I sometimes lose focus after about 10, 15 minutes, maybe half an hour. We've gone, when did we start? About an hour ago?
We're an hour now.
We're at an hour and 34 seconds now.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I think that's enough.
Okay.
And Mary, thank you very much for having me on your program. Please do send me the link so I can put it up on my website.
Absolutely.
And distribute it around through social media. Let's everyone work together. Get the word out there. Defeat Bill C-223.
Thank you so much, Mr. Colman, for coming back on to Let's Talk Real Talk. And thank you to all the viewers out there. If you want to contact Mr. Colman, you could reach out to him. We have his link on the website, and we are always here to answer any questions for you. So remember, sign the petition, and let's stop this Bill C-223 and have equal shared parenting if we can. Not everyone can be equal, but at least give the parent more time than no time, because children's time are precious, and they're growing up without a good parent in their families to give them structure, to give them what it's like to be with a dad, or what it's like to be with a mom. So these kids are lonely inside. I was one of them. I know what it's like. I needed both parents, and millions of kids out there need them. So thank you, everybody, for tuning in on Let's Talk Real Talk. Until the next time, Mr. Colman, thank you so much again.
Thank you.